Senator Gordon.
With the permission of the Majority Floor Leader, Mr. President, I am honored and I thank those of you who asked me to chair this committee. I do so without any lobbying on my part to get this committee. The Senate President is well aware of the fact that I never asked for the Blue Ribbon Committee, and what was left of the other committee, I accepted without any lobbying on my part. In this particular instance, hindi rin po ako nanghingi nitong committee ito. It's a very, very difficult task to handle, especially with the Blue Ribbon Committee and the Government Corporations Committee as well. I have handled 3 committees in my first time in the Senate, and as you know, I will always give it 100% whenever we do handle these committees. I do pray for the support of the members and the understanding. I just want to say this in all candor. This is an event that I don't think anybody wants. To have to declare a committee vacant along with its members is something that goes against the grain of any Senate. Unfortunately, as I was saying earlier, and the Senate President will recall, we have to choose the committees very, very well. Otherwise, there will be conflict. And the situation on the Committee on Justice was certainly not unexpected. Certainly, the pressure being put to bear upon the President and certain members of the Senate, accusing one another of all kinds of things, does not help. And certainly, the result was not totally unexpected. Well, I'd like to bring to this committee, therefore, an objective investigation of whatever is brought before the plate or whatever laws we have to sponsor or meetings that we have to go. Certainly, a lot of consultation will have to be made. I voted reluctantly for this as well, but I voted with a clear conscience. And you know me, Mr. President, I do not vote half-heartedly. When I make a decision, I go for it on all fours. And precisely because of that, I did not want a situation where we would be second-guessing what was going to happen next in the committee. Certainly, it may have put, perhaps arguably, the Senate in a very difficult position because every day the issues before the Committee on Justice was getting the headlines. Rightly or wrongly, it was unfair to the Senate, it was unfair, more importantly, to the country. And certainly, it behooves us all to make sure that we go beyond the expectations of the public and go take the highest traditions that this Senate has had in the past. Now, Mr. President, it is precisely for this reason that I hope that everybody will understand and learn from this experience. Nobody is happy seeing senators being displaced from their committees, let alone the person involved. And we commiserate. But, you know, the situation in the country is very fluid right now, and there are many things coming out in the woodwork. The whole world is talking about the country, and from what I hear, and from what has been said by the President, particularly in matters involving foreign policy, I did expect that there would be reactions from the powers that be in the international community. And that is why I'm very concerned about the situation. I'm also concerned about the fact that the President is going around the country talking to the military. Everywhere. And you can see that every day. And perhaps he is very concerned about the situation in the country having a war on drugs and a war on terrorism. If all the members of this Senate listened to the privileged speech of this representation the other week, I never threatened to come up and say we were going to declare a suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. Precisely because of that, I merely came out to this conclusion, Mr. President, because I fear the consequences. Because I didn't want the Senate polarized. In the first place, Mr. President, you already have a situation because everybody's saying you cannot have an objective result from combatants. And there are combatants here from the executive and from the legislation. And so, to the wisdom of the Senate, in declaring the seat vacant, I believe that decision was made Mr. President, and I will call for the orders today because I'm not distracted, and I appreciate that Senate President Drilon, my good friend, and my good friend Majo, Majority Floor Leader, are talking. And sometimes it's very disturbing, Mr. President. I'm not saying I'm being disturbed by it. All I'm saying is delivering an extemporaneous speech would mean that I would get some, attention, so to speak, if I have to beg for it, and I'm not. And so, Mr. President, so that my line of thinking would not be, derailed, we do so here today for the benefit of the Senate, for an objective Senate, a Senate that will provide objectivity in the hearings, and that is why you can take a look even at the composition. I did not take part in selecting. I let the whole Senate talk about it, and we tried to reach the other parts of the majority, and they were the ones who recommended. And that is why Senator Cayetano is a member of the committee, and so is Senator De Lima. And we tried to get lawyers, Mr. President, to come into the committee so that whatever investigation will happen will be done in the highest interest of the country. It doesn't serve us well when suddenly witnesses are produced and the co-chairman of the committee, Senator Lacson, is not aware of it. It opens us to criticism. That is what we will try to avoid. We will avoid surprises. We will be transparent because that's the rule of law. Transparency, predictability, consistency, and continuity. And that is why, Mr. President, while I do so reluctantly, I do not shirk at the responsibility. I will accept the challenge with the help of the members of the committee, and I thank them for their vote of confidence. But I do expect that they will also participate in all the hearings with fairness, with equanimity, and with the highest interest of the country at heart. And even if some of them will be talking, I'm sure they will be talking not out of turn, but they were talking about the issues of the day. And hope that that will be translated into decisions that we're going to make in the future. Thank you very much, colleagues, and thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Gordon. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. By the way, for the record,